Our daily Bible reading for December 22nd. Our reading today comes from the book of Revelation, chapter 12. Revelation, chapter 12. We'll begin reading in verse 1. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains, in the agony of giving birth. Another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. She gave birth to a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, in which she is to be nourished for 1,260 days. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they loved not their lives, even unto death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time is short. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman, who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given the 2 wings of the great eagle, so that she might fly from the serpent into the wilderness, to the place where she is to be nourished for a time, a times, and half a time. The serpent poured water like a river out of his mouth after the woman, to sweep her away with a flood. But the earth came to the help of the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the river that the dragon had poured from his mouth. Then the dragon became furious with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And he stood on the sand of the sea. A few thoughts for today. We come now to the next section. The first 11 chapters are seen, as it were, from an earthly view. Now we shall see it from a heavenly view. The scenes unfold with characters like the woman, the child, the great red dragon and his angels, Michael and his angels, and the old serpent, the devil, Satan himself, shows up. The action is intense, but the outcome has already been determined. The woman, she is adorned with the sun, the moon, and the stars. Who is she? She is the people of God. Not just the church, but all of God's people from all dispensations. It is thought in these terms. The stars are the patriarchal, the moon the Mosaical, the sun the Christian age. From dim to brighter to brightest they shine. The people of God brought forth the child Christ. Satan has waged war since the garden against God's people in an effort to prevent that which was prophesied to come, the one that would bruise or crush his head. The great red dragon, Satan, manifested in Rome. 7 heads, the 7 hills on which he sits. We read this in chapter 17 and verse 9. The 10 horns, the 10 kings. Chapter 17 and verse 12. 1/3 of the stars swept away signifies her great power she wields, as Satan took a great many angels with him when he left heaven. Jude verse 6. This chapter is not about a war that we can point to a date and say, here it is, or this is when it was fought. This war is one that has been fought from the beginning. The battle has already been won. If it is yet to be won, then it cannot be said that Jesus defeated death and the grave. Jesus did not get a partial victory when he triumphed at the cross. He won a total victory. We see the true nature of Satan in his names, the serpent, the devil, the accuser. He has waged war against God's people from the beginning and continues to do so. All of the offspring who continue to keep the commandments of God will be at war with Satan. But we shall overcome because of the blood of the Lamb. They did not love their life and were willing to die for their faith. Satan wages war with us, even today. We too should not fear death. A question of the day. Are you willing to give your life for your faith if it is required? And a thought to meditate on this day. It is difficult to imagine the evil that Satan holds. We should never be fooled into thinking he is not a present danger to us. But we too can stand against him merely by resisting. And those are our thoughts for today, December 22nd.